even see schedule. Oh, there it is.
I'm Brent Leary.
I'm Paul Greenberg.
We are the CRM Playaz, and this is going to be a short one.
Oh, yeah. Lite. Lite.
Light.
Not light. Light, because we are not planning on being that enlightening.
Have we ever?
No.
What did I say? When did we plan on doing that?
We never planned on it, and I think we rarely achieved it either. Right. So,
it is what it is, but we're glad to be here. It's a Thursday.
Yes, it is. And it's sports interesting Thursday. It's also a Jewish holiday Thursday, but we won't get into that.
So, as I try to tap dance a bit while the slides are loading, which there we go. Maybe we brought some enlightenment. Maybe we brought some, insight. Maybe even brought some entertainment. But I know one thing we've been bringing since 2009. Whatever that is.
The Arizona.
Remember the Arizona? Oh, that was Remember the Maine.
No. The Arizona was a battleship though in World War II. It was a big one.
But the Maine, what was the Remember the Maine? What war did that?
Spanish-American War, 1898.
Man, you got it.
War in Spain. Yeah, war with Spain. Yep, I knew. Oh, I that was one of my. When you know how like you and I both really were always fascinated by World War One, right? You and I both on that one. Spanish-American War and the Russo-Japanese War were my two other wars that fascinated.
What about the Boxer Rebellion? Or
that was not really a war, but I read multiple books on it. But the biggest one for me was the Russo-Japanese War, and the reason being that it was not only was it. When I was a little boy, I was 4 years old. I wrote a letter to the Department of the Army asking him for literature on that war because I didn't.
Wow.
Well, back then all we had was like libraries and stuff, regular libraries, and they didn't carry anything about that war. But the reason that it was important was one, it was the war that established the Japanese as a major power, which led eventually, of course, to World War II, and two, it was the birth of the modern Navy. And the first modern naval battle was the Battle of Tsushima, Tsushima, Battle of Tsushima, which is the Strait of.
I thought it was that Tsushima. Fish you guys eat. It's raw.
Yeah, no, sushi. Yeah, Tsushima. That's the restaurant, Tsushima, right? But it was the Battle of Tsushima was the first actual war between modern naval vessels. And that was the other reason I was fascinated. But I still am, and I have probably half a dozen to 10 books on it. I've read them all. Interesting enough, I have read Boxer Rebellion. There was a war, but before that, the Sino-Japanese War, the Chinese and the Japanese. But World War One, of course, was the one that just first real modern technological war, period. And it was horrible war and frightening war, and absolutely for whatever reason, intriguing war. I think part of it geopolitical.
Yeah, I think, and it was first mechanized, militarized war. The first war with poisonous gas as weapons.
It was a very advanced war with weaponry, and the other side was what really fascinated me about World War One too. I was big on this to the point of building my own models. Was it was the first modern air war too.
Yep.
It was the air war, right?
Well, and like the Red Baron,
with the aces, all the aces, and
Eddie Rickenbach was our guy.
Rickenbacker, and the guy who shot down the Red Baron was it? Roy. His name was Roy. He was the captain. I think it was Roy or some Smith, but he was a British guy, and he shot him down in a Sopwith Camel. Shot down the Fokker DR-3 triplane in the Sopwith Camel. I used to build World War I model airplanes all the time. I even have one of my games is an incredibly advanced reproduction of the air war of World War I, where you fly the planes.
Wow.
Horrible. I get killed every single time. I've never lived through one.
Well, and then at least I think it was the first war that really, everybody think of the Uncle Sam wants you. That started with what's his name? I forget the the British commander of the on the side for US for the World War One. What is that guy's name? Dirk. Man, I almost
no,
had
it'll
his
come
name.
to me.
I
Craig.
was gonna say, it's something with a K. Kirshner.
Yeah, no,
something like that.
You're close.
Yeah,
really close. Kitchener.
Yeah, Lord Kitchener.
Right.
It was actually the Lord Kitchener's with the British saying, he wants you. And then we kind of bit off of that and had Uncle Sam do that same kind of pose. But that actually came out of World War One with the British folks.
Well, it was also like the first war where we had really, really, like, we had those, like the pilots were heroes. They got like big heroes. Wait, is that the real? Which Lord Kitchener? I'm not. Lord Kitchener would be the real Paul Greenberg. Oh no.
Let's see. Wasn't that Sopwith?
Yeah. Well.
Wow.
The answer is yes. I could literally sing you the song. Okay, I won't but I'll say the word started after the turn of the century in the clear blue skies over Germany. That was the song of Snoopy and the Red Baron.
But you know what? So we're both huge World War One people buffs. Tell you what war or what kind of set of wars. I know this is a little off topic, folks, but just bear with us.
Short show.
I started really getting into which is kind of weird, but it is what it is. So the Franco-Prussian War and the Austro-Prussian War, and then the Crimean War. For some reason, I'm kind of interested in that. And then the war between Austria and Prussia versus the Danes for the Schleswig-Holstein.
Right, Schleswig-Holstein.
Schleswig-Holstein, yeah. All these, because those things kind of led up to what took place in World War One more than.
See, that was actually kind of where infantry got modernized, was in that war, right?
The needle guns that the Prussians had versus the Austrians.
Yeah.
Which apparently gave them a huge, it was very easy to reload versus what the traditional kind of. I don't know why we got.
It doesn't matter. We can do the whole show on this. I'd be happy. We don't need to talk about Conga and pros, right? I mean, we can talk about this all day. Look, the thing with all of these, again, like you, I was also, obviously, because I'm such a 13th century buff. I love everything about the 13th century, because I think it was where the Renaissance began then, not later.
Oh yeah, what's the in Rome, not Rome, but in Italy? What's that city that the Renaissance really began in?
You mean Florence?
Yeah, Florence.
No, actually, I'm saying it started before that. That would be that was the 14th century in the Florence in the 1300s, the 14th century, in the 15th century, the 1400s. I'm saying it started in the 1200s, and it actually was I'd say, interestingly enough, it was the monarchies that were associated with the Holy Roman Empire where a lot of this occurred at the court level, and it triggered it. So, for example, Alfonso el Sabio, who was Alfonso the Wise, king of Spain, not Spain, I'm sorry, the king of Seville, which is, of course,
so Spain wasn't unified yet?
Not yet, no. It was Seville, Castile, Aragon were all separate countries at the time, national states. And so he had, for example, in his court, he brought Jewish, Muslim scholars from the sciences, the arts, from the philosophical side, from the what do you call it? Medical, the painters. He himself, the king himself, was such an advanced scholar that he developed. Now, when I say he, I mean not his people, him personally developed the nautical tables that were used for 4 centuries until Copernican science came around, and somebody else then developed 4 centuries of all the tables that were used by all the maritime travelers were him. Where he did them himself, and he had these are the.
That was before Prince Henry the Navigator.
Oh yeah, this is like 3 centuries before that. By
the way, shout out to
Sahil, soon to be married Sahil in November.
Oh, that's not too long far off.
No, wonderful. I saw a picture of him and his wife. They're going to have beautiful children between the two of them. I'll tell you that. There's a picture of this handsome young man with this beautiful young woman with a big smile on both their faces. It was amazing. It was just such a great picture.
Well, I could see why there'd be a big smile on Sahil's face if he's
Yeah.
marrying a beautiful young woman. Like
I've never met her, but you could tell she's just a person who radiates. So
nice.
So here's the thing. So there would be these amazing philosophers who came out of the they were Arabs basically, like Avicenna, who was Ibn Sina. Avicenna was literally one of my. I've read his English version of his works for many moons. I've read 50 years ago. I read him, and he's brilliant. He's what they called a Neoplatonist, right? He was a Platonic scholar, but Neoplatonists, the ones who take it and figure it out.
He actually wrote some stuff.
Yeah, he wrote quite a bit, actually.
What's his name? Neoplatonist. I was going to say Socrates didn't write a thing, but of course Plato wrote the Republic.
Well, even you go all the way. I love philosophy. Another one of my great loves. I mean, you go all the way back to Socrates. I once ran an entire class. I did this was a 4-part class, and the entire 4 parts were I was teaching Socrates, and it was a Socratic dialogue. So I would literally it was my version of a Socratic dialogue. I mean, I would go in and I'd give the class. I'd say something to the class. I said, "Okay, discuss it. I'll come back in about 10 minutes, and we'll talk. We'll see." And they would give me an answer. I said, "Well, if that's true, then what about this?" Then I'd leave, and we'd keep going until they came to a conclusion. Now, the interesting thing was the first 2 days, I manipulated the conclusion. The second 2 days, I deliberately, and the second 2 days, I didn't. Right. So, and the answers were very different. I asked the same set of questions, but the way I shifted it was I said, all right, I did it. And the first day, as I said, I'd come back and say, yeah, what about? The second day, I said, I'll tell you what, guys, I'm not going to do anything but come back in and tell you that, okay, now you answer what you heard. And so I let them do it. And it was astounding, the differences in conclusion. And I said, look, the difference is, honestly, I spent 2 days manipulating your answer. I got you to where I wanted you to answer it. I said exactly what I wanted you to do. I said, when I let it alone, when it was organic, it was very different. So, and then I went through a whole discussion of the nature of organic versus manipulation, and that even Socratic dialogue is not, because the typical way people see Socratic dialogue is actually an organic approach to things. I said it's not always organic. I said so you have to be very careful on how you approach it. And I gave them some tips, so to speak, on how to approach it. It was I had so much fun. It was part of a class on epistemology I was teaching that went 16 weeks.
Wow.
That was a long time ago, 45 years ago.
The only thing, well, not the only thing, but for whatever reason, I got heavily into trying to figure out or I don't know if I would say trying to memorize, just like, the Battle of Hastings and, 1066 and all that stuff. Yeah. I think, not that I'm going to do this here, but I think once I really kind of got into that stuff, I think I could actually I could go from Edward the Confessor, since he was kind of the one before William the Conqueror. Well, actually, with that little blip in there with a couple of those Danes that thought they had access to the king, being the next king. But I think I can actually go from 1066, I'll just put it like that, all the way to modern day in terms of like the king who became the next king and the queen.
You mean you could literally do the succession?
I think so.
All the way through from now, you can still do it.
I think so. I mean,
I'll tell you what, do some of it. Start at 1066 and go to.
So I'll go with Edward the Confessor, because he was like right before. Okay. I just like his nickname. He's the Confessor.
I know,
Edward the Confessor. All right, then with some disputes, because there was Harold Godwinson and he thought he had a claim.
Dane, right?
Huh?
Was Godwinson the Dane?
Yeah, there was two kind of Danes. There was and they were both. There was Harold Godwinson, and there was
Right.
this guy Harold Herdata. I don't.
Okay.
And he was coming. He thought he had a way to just take it, where Godwinson thought Edward actually gave it to him, but actually William, who was Edward's nephew somehow, thought he was the right, founder, or the right successor. Anyway, so they had that whole Battle of Hastings, and that's where William basically had killed Harold Godwinson, and
right.
So then it became, and he ruled for about 21 years. Then his son William Rufus, and then he died, and he didn't have an heir. So his brother, who was also William's son, Henry I, was the next in line. And then,
so we're around 11 something by this time.
Yeah, you're like 11 teens, 11 early 20s or something like that. And then there was a little bit of another one of these. I don't know if they call them fights or not, but after Henry I, Richard I was, I think, not his son, but because he had a whole bunch of, I don't want to use the term, but when there weren't legit
right
heirs.
Concubines.
Yeah. But Henry I did have an heir, which was his daughter, which is the first Queen Matilda.
And see, now you got me. So far I've known every name, but you got me on this one.
Matilda. Well, Queen Matilda, because she was the queen and not, a son. That's why there was some other family members trying to Budinsky in, but she became like the queen. What do they call, like when the
queen mother,
something like that,
queen consort?
Because her son was Henry II.
Well, she's either the queen mother or the queen consort. Those are the two other names besides queen.
Yeah, and he then married
Henry II.
Henry II married this. What's her name? Eleanor, the one.
Eleanor of Aquitaine. Eleanor of Aquitaine.
Yeah, now remember, she was originally married to somebody else. I can't remember who her first husband was, but her second husband was the guy that was actually the first Plantagenet. He was like the father of all the Plantagenets.
Is that Edward?
I think it was Geoffrey of Anjou. I think that's what his name was.
So it's French house.
Yeah, that's
Aquitaine and Anjou are French.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then Henry had like 3 sons. That
Henry II had 3 sons.
Yeah, he had 3 sons, and Henry II is actually, he was like the man back in the day. But remember, he ran into some trouble because he was the one that had he didn't have him killed, but no one rid me of this turbulent priest.
Yeah,
but he was thinking about Sir Thomas Becket.
Yeah.
So, and then some of these people actually took him up on it and killed the guy.
Yeah.
So he ran into some troubles. So his oldest son was I think it was Richard II. They didn't get along too well. and so I think this guy ended up dead.
Who? Henry or Richard?
Richard.
Okay.
Then Richard had a brother, and I think I know the one that ended up being the last of the kings of the brothers was John, and John was one of the worst kings there's been. But he had a lineage, because once he was King John, I forget what number he was. His son was actually, I think he might have been Henry III. It might have been Henry III's father. And then Henry III was pretty good, but then his son Edward I. So there's like 3 Edwards back to back to back. So Edward I was like supposedly a really good king. Like he was able to keep all because they both he still had France and King in England. A lot of these folks didn't even live in England because they're originally from France.
Right.
So there was 3 Edwards in a row. Edward the First was a good one. Edward the Second was not. Edward the Third was pretty good. Then Edward the Third died, and I don't think he had a direct heir. So his nephew, which I think is Richard, that's the Richard II. I think that's the Richard II.
So the third was Lionhearted, right? Richard III.
I think Richard the First is either Richard the First or Richard III. It's not Richard II.
No, I know it's not the second, but I thought it was the third. Okay, I'm just trying to.
Yeah, and I think I have it. I'm just kind of doing it off the top of my head. But then Richard had a cousin named Henry Bolingbroke, and they were like both the same age. They were young because I think it was the third Edward died when these guys were young, and they were supposedly, these cousins made a pact that they would look after each other. You know, they wouldn't come after each other. But Henry Bolingbroke, you know, this is like maybe 10, 15 years down the line, he actually did come after who was the Richard, and he won. So Henry Bolingbroke became Henry the Fourth, and he's kind of a significant Henry. And then Henry V was actually his son, which is even more significant.
Oh yeah.
Then there was Henry VI. Was apparently he might have been autistic or something, because he doesn't have the greatest of reputation. And that's when there's this kind of this back and forth thing between Henry VI and this Edward IV, who Edward IV was from, what is he, from the line of the, this is where the Plantagenets kind of split into the Yorks versus the Lancasters.
Oh boy.
And I think
that war coming up, the War of the Roses.
Yeah, so that actually kind of went back and forth until finally Edward IV vanquished them.
Now, was that what years are we looking at here now?
Now we're into the 1400s now.
Well, I know the War of the Roses was in the 1400s. Maybe that was that war where Edward IV won it.
Well, kind of, yeah. I think that's part of it, but the final part of it is, of course, the Battle of Bosworth, which is where. Right. So Henry, remember. So let me get Henry IV. Excuse me, Edward IV had 2 sons. One was Edward V, and I forget what the youngest one. But those 2 are called the Princes in the Tower, because after Edward IV died, Richard III, who's the one everybody knows, like the hunchback guy, who was also Edward IV's younger brother, since Edward IV died, and these kids, like the oldest son was in like 12 or 13, so he wasn't going to be able to rule. So he was supposed to be under the cover of Edward IV's younger brother, which is Richard III. But he tried to have Edward IV's kids illegitimized because there was some kind of thought that Edward IV actually married somebody before he married, what's her name? Elizabeth. I think she's called the White Queen, but I can't remember her last name. Woodville, Elizabeth Woodville. She's the one that gave him the 2 sons. So Richard III was trying to have them illegitimized so that he could then be the next king in line. So he and these are his nephews. He actually had them, like, I don't know if kidnapped, but it basically is kidnapped, because when Edward IV died, Elizabeth Woodville and her brothers wanted to protect the kids, whereas Richard III wanted them under his power. So that's how it eventually it became. He got them, and then he put them in the tower, apparently.
Right.
And there's absolutely no record of them ever leaving the tower after he got them.
I remember there was a whole like a hunt for their bones.
Yeah, yeah.
That was in the. I mean, I was sometime during the 20th century. I don't remember, late 20th
They,
century.
yeah, no, like I think
TV show, I think.
less than 10 years ago, they claim that the bones of Richard III were found in some parking lot, like the
Yeah, I
neighbor parking
remember
lot.
that. I do remember that.
Yeah.
That was
So
probably only about 4 or 5 years ago.
yeah, what really wasn't
Yeah.
that long ago.
No.
So all that was going on, and since Richard III kind of was the ending winner of that, but there was like all this circumstance, like, why should he be the king? So going back to the kind of the other side of the equation, um, the Anjou and now the what's her Lady Elizabeth? She was like this young kid. She ended up getting hooked in, or kind of hooked into that other side of the family, and she had a son called Henry Tudor that would eventually become Henry VII. So he actually had to leave England for like 15 years because they were trying to kill him so that any kind of claim from that side of the family would be done. Because his mother was originally married, I think, Henry V. And then when he died, she ended up marrying this Tudor guy. I forget what the Tudor guy's first name is. And that guy ended up having Henry VII with I think her name is Margaret. I can't remember. But anyway, so that's the other side. That's the I think that's the Lancaster side, and the Edward IV and all that. That was the York side. And so he had a claim, and then he became of age, and then he took an army back from France into England to seek the English title, and they met on the Battle of Bosworth. I don't know where that is. And so Henry Tudor killed, well, not directly, but his army killed Richard III in the Battle of Bosworth. So he took over, and he was Henry VII. And of course, we all know his son was Henry VIII with all the 6 wives. So you go fast forward through that. He had a son. His son was Edward VII. He died as a teenager. And when he died, Bloody Mary, which is his oldest daughter, took over until she didn't last but 5 years.
Yeah.
And she caused a whole bunch of stir because she was a Catholic, because her mother was Catherine of Aragon. So you could tie the Aragons back to them.
Right.
And then when and the son wanted to be, keep it Protestant because the father broke away from the church so he could get all those divorces. And so it was the Church of England, and it had completely separated from the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
But because Mary, her mother was French or Spanish, excuse me, because she was literally Ferdinand and Isabella's daughter.
Right.
And then, because the young boy said, I don't want to make her my successor because she'll go back to being Catholic. They drug in this other family member who was a Lady Jane Grey. And for 9 days, she was like, after he died, for 9 days, she was like the Queen of England until Mary took it back to, from her, and then they killed her. And then Mary, she was Bloody Mary because she was trying to take out all the people who did not want to have a Catholic kingdom anymore. So she started doing that kind of stuff, like burning at the stake, all that kind of stuff.
Didn't work.
Didn't work. Well, and she got sick, and then she died. And guess who was the last one of Henry's children? Elizabeth. So Elizabeth,
the beginning of the modern era.
Yeah, so Elizabeth, and she reigned for like 40 years or something like that. And
well, was okay. So, final question though: who was the longest reigning monarch in England ever?
Well, it was Elizabeth, and it actually was Victoria up until Queen
Elizabeth
Elizabeth
II.
II. Yeah, because she reigned for like Victoria reigned for like 62 years or something like that.
Well, wait. So, and Elizabeth II must have reigned. She
She
reigned
did
from.
70 years.
So it's from. She passed away in what, 2025,
Yeah.
4,
No,
3,
no,
3.
2022. Her father, which was King George the Sixth,
Right.
he reigned until he died in 52.
One of the things that fascinated me when I was kid, and even now do, was there was, because of the Commonwealth itself, which was a gigantic empire. I mean, really gigantic, especially given Britain's actual size as an island. I used to collect Commonwealth Jubilee stamps, and there was a very famous issue in 1935 where it was King George the Fifth, I think, in 1935. Very famous issue where the whole Commonwealth issued stamps that almost 90% of them look almost the same. I literally, when I got back into collecting, a few years ago, I decided, you know what, it's not an expensive group. There's only one stamp that's relatively expensive, and it's $400, $500, and it's from Egypt. So I have a complete collection of mint never hinged Commonwealth 1935 Silk Jubilee collection stamps with King George V. I don't know why I've been fascinated by it. Like when I collected coins that involved Commonwealth countries, I never wanted this George VI because I didn't like his face. Right.
Well, but you know what, George the Fifth or Sixth. If you look at his father, George V,
that was the guy I liked with the beard.
Yeah, his first cousin was Tsar Nicholas II.
Right.
His other first cousin was what's his name? The guy in Germany, Kaiser Wilhelm II.
Wilhelm, yep.
There's a picture of there's one picture that's really famous of George V and Nicholas II. They almost look like twins.
Yeah.
Now,
the little difference is the shape of their beard.
Yeah, I think one of them was a little thicker.
Well, it was also a little sharper, which is the Russian.
They looked. I was like, "How? My God! There's no way you could say they aren't related."
No. Well, that was the whole thing about that. I mean, that was, again, you're heading to World War I again, right? So, obviously George V, Kaiser Wilhelm, and Nicholas II play a big role in that.
Well, yeah, there's this great documentary on I have BBC Select that talks about cousins at war. Oh, it's really good stuff, and because it focuses on all three of them, and like how this whole thing was set up by Victoria, because she basically wanted to marry off she had 9 kids, and she basically tried to marry them strategically so that their family had power throughout Europe, throughout all these countries. So her oldest child was named after her, Victoria. She's the one that married Kaiser Wilhelm's father and had him. Then Edward VII was the second oldest. He married the daughter of I don't know if she was the daughter of the king, but she was one of those from Denmark, and she actually had a sister. So while Edward VII, Victoria's son, married one sister, the other sister from Denmark, she ended up marrying the Russian guy, and she ended up having Nicholas II. So there's all these weird,
right? Well,
interbreeding,
man.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But look at that. You know what? The most famous poster child for inbreeding is the Habsburgs, right? And the world famous Habsburg jaw,
that chin, yeah,
right. That's all based on inbreeding, and it's astounding. I mean, that was fascinating, actually.
It's hard.
And by the way, Pros was acquired by
Yeah.
Pros was
yeah.
acquired by Congo, which is being run by King George VIII.
But I mean, literally, because you went from like the what's the guy's name? Henry Tudor. So you went from the Tudors. Well, you went from the Yankees, the Lancasters, and the Yorks, and before that, I don't know what they call those dudes. But the original were the Normans, because that's where William the Conqueror came from.
From Saxony.
Yeah, and then the
Normandy and Saxony. William of Saxon and what was the and William of no, not William of Saxon.
No, William of Normandy.
Normandy and Edward of Saxon.
Yeah, because there's the Anglos and the Saxons,
right.
So part of that. But you can literally go from these folks that like Charles III and all these, they literally can go back that far into their lineage. Now, because Elizabeth didn't have any children, her successor James James the Sixth of Scotland and First of England, they were cut on the cousins. Her cousin's son was a Mary Queen of Scots. I think Mary Queen of Scots and Elizabeth were either first or second cousins, and so her son, Mary Queen of Scots' son, was James.
Well, actually, to your point. So again, in the 13th century that I love, there are three key. Well, there are several, but there are four key actual rulers. Ruler one was Friedrich of Hohenstaufen, who was the Holy Roman Emperor himself. Okay. Ruler two is the guy I mentioned earlier, Alfonso El Sabio of Spain. Ruler three was Henry III in England, and ruler four was Louis IX in France. Everybody but Louis IX was related.
Wow.
They were all cousins. The three: Henry III, Alfonso El Sabio, Alfonso X, and Friedrich of Hohenstaufen, the Holy Roman Emperor, elected Holy Roman Emperor, were all cousins.
See, I don't pick up on them.
Yeah, take a look. It's fascinating because the other thing, again, with all their warlike manifestations and all the other things that kings and monarchs do that are disgusting, they also had that side that fostered the Renaissance. All of them did. All of the ones I mentioned, all four kings, right? Even Henry III, he was kind of the least of them. But I actually have coins of Henry III and Louis IX and Alfonso the Wise and Friedrich of Hohenstaufen. I have coins from their era.
That's amazing.
I'll show you. I'll bring a couple to IRL to show you the English ones, since that's your area.
Well, I mean, I picked up on French when it got
Louis
to
IX in this
case. For me, I get the Sun King, so that's Louis the 14th.
That was considerably later.
Yeah.
Of course, the cognac is Louis the 13th.
The only reason I like I like the nickname. I was like, this dude's nickname is the Sun King.
I know.
That's pretty cool. Then he's the one that built Versailles, so that's another.
Oh yeah, no, I have a different. I come at it from a different place, but I have I couldn't do what you just did at all. But I have a very similar idea around looking into monarchies and kings and rulers and stuff like that, because I'm fascinated by how complicated they are and how much drama is in their lives too. That's not just invented by Shakespeare.
Yeah,
it's actually dramatic.
I find the unification of Germany era fascinating, because I had no idea. I thought you grow up, you think, oh, Germany, it's been around forever, and it's like, no, it really only became unified in 1871, and then you find out what was going on, and and there's all these connections to that, and then the Holy Roman Empire, not the Roman, but the Holy Roman Empire.
That's Friedrich of Hohenstaufen, man. He was the emperor.
Yeah. And so how that came about, how that broke down, and in all these, what is it, like 39 states that were these German people.
Yeah. Schleswig-Holstein. I could literally name about half of them.
Yeah, well, here's the sad thing. When I was a kid, I thought Bavaria was somewhere in Jamaica. It sounded like something that should be like like I said, it sounds like it's like there's Bavaria and Bohemia and some other. I was like, oh, this sounds like some cool Coleman kind of places.
Yeah.
I'm like, and a lot of the stuff
Jamaica,
that
Bermuda,
like,
Jamaica, Bavaria. I want to take you. But
and then like even going to when what's his name, Napoleon met his doom. I thought,
Elba.
well, that's where they took him. And
Ebla. Oh, you mean the battle?
Waterloo? I was like, oh,
You mean
Waterloo,
the
that's in
battle.
Canada.
Well, they were right. Well, I mean, that's not like it is just not that one. There is a Waterloo, Ontario.
Why don't we address Christy?
Yeah, I was going to say the very same thing.
Maybe
to
that'd
close
be
out,
the
we'll address.
Go ahead.
All right, so here's the story, Christy. We are locked and loaded. So the evening of March 11th, 2026, at Atlanta Tech Village in Buckhead, one more time, we will have our welcome reception. And then on the 12th will be IRL 2026. More details to come later. Make your reservations now, NOW, now. You got loads of time. So March 11th, come. My suggestion is come in the day of March 11th so you can attend the welcome reception at night. Again, all at the Atlanta Tech Village. Highly recommend the Element Hotel is the hotel you stay. And then all day March 12th, and either leave the night of March 12th or the morning of the 13th.
Yeah, all I can say is we are not expecting it to be 5 degrees.
No, thank God.
Hopefully no ice of any kind, or not even a hint or
Right.
a mention of snow, because we know
That's
even
right.
the mention of it could like freak people out here.
Well, you want to know? I'll tell you something. I have the new Alexa, the new Amazon Echo Alexa Early Access Plus. And the other day, when I asked the weather, this goes to Atlanta's perception of life. The other day, I asked the weather here, and they said it's going to be sunny day. This is like September, early September, end of August, early September. I said, oh, so what's the weather going to be like? She said, well, sunny day, some sort of temperature, no chance of rain or snow. And I said to her, snow? What's that guy? Why are you mentioning snow? And then she answered, this is literally her answer. Snow. And she goes, actually, good question. She said, I guess the weather API is hedging its bets.
Wow.
Yeah, but that's Atlanta, man. That's Atlanta, right? The mention of the word snow in Atlanta hedges its bet.
That's really something.
That's right.
But it is what it is. And yes, Christy.
I would suggest. Yeah, no, you mean same hotel stay at?
Yeah, where everything's the same. So the event is going to be the exact same place, the Atlanta Tech Village,
Buckhead,
and that in Buckhead. And I think most people stayed in one of two places, Element Hotels, where we stayed.
Yeah, which
literally just a block across.
It's awesome, and it's a pretty damn decent hotel. It's perfect for what we need.
And then I know some people stayed in the hotel behind. I don't know what its name, but I know
a lot of people
get that. But don't worry, because if you came last year, you will get a save the date invitation and all that kind of stuff with all the details. We literally just found out that we were able to lock down the venue again. So you're hearing it first. It's March the 11th, and I guess you're going to be doing some other kind of. I know last year or early this year was bourbon and donuts. I don't know what it is this year.
This year, it's two separate things. It's a donut taste-off between 3 top-flight Atlanta donut places, and it's an Irish whiskey blind tasting. And the person who gets the 4 or 5, I'm still working on that part, the 4 or 5 Irish whiskeys in the order that they actually end up being, the ones who voted it that way, will be all their numbers will be put into a hat. It's the proper vote. Ones will be put into a hat. One person will be chosen, and they will win 1 bottle of each of the 5.
Wow, you already got that detailed.
I have the total detail. I just don't know what bottles. And not only that, I may change my mind.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. So, and then we're not since we just found out that it is going to be that, now we'll be able to start working on some things. And I know one possibility is since you and what does he call himself, the Todd Father?
Yeah.
Game. There may be some kind of road trip. I don't know, or a field trip. Who knows?
With a live episode of a show at the location.
So, and we're working on some other stuff. So,
well, we have a possibility of a well-known AI scientist who would like to speak, and God willing, he'll be able to. He is able to, but we're not at the point where we can do much about that yet.
He actually might be more able to than even a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, we'll see.
When you think about it,
we will see.
Anyway, stay on the lookout. Once again, we just literally just got that news yesterday, so we'll start
much more coming.
Yeah, we'll start spreading the word. And
and one other thing, if you're interested, I will be carrying 1 or 2 Henry III coins on my person.
Yeah, but you got to say the right Henry III of France, not the Henry III.
No, this is Henry III of England.
Oh, it is. Oh,
yeah, this is England. France was Louis IX.
Oh, okay.
This is Henry III of England.
Oh, okay. Well, he was a good Henry.
Yeah, he actually was. Again, a cousin to all the other ones too. He was literally tied to cousin to the Holy Roman Emperor Friedrich of Hohenstaufen, and a cousin to Alfonso the Wise, aka Alfonso El Sabio, aka Alfonso the Tenth.
Does that get all the way down to Alfonso the Ribeiro, or
No, God no, no. There's literally not even a comparison between the. Let's put it this way. I like one of them a lot. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
The other one, not as much. All right.
So this episode was really supposed to be 30 minutes because there's a lot going on. Meaning, for you, it's a big winner takes the series playoff between your beloved Yankees and the Red Sox of all people.
Yeah, tonight at 8:08.
Wow. And before that, or actually at the same time, basically, my beloved Rams are playing Thursday night football against our behated, I don't know, the 49ers, our rivalry. Sorry, Sandy.
Sorry, I was just going to say the same thing. Sorry, Sandy.
Actually, I'm not. But I require at least 3 hours of silence before I.
Yes, I never will be contacting you at all during that time.
So
I realized the other day on Sunday when I couldn't reach you, remember? And I'm thinking, are you okay? And then I realized, oh, wait a minute. I looked at the schedule and said, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah,
you're in the zone now.
And I'm already,
you were in the second quarter. So I knew that you were definitely locked in.
And I already got some messages from Sandy. She's trying to like sandbag me, or as I like to say, I'm not falling for the banana in the tailpipe. Here's, because she's already, you guys will win for sure tonight. We have half a team. I don't care. I don't care at all. You guys we hate each other in terms of the Niners and the Rams. And I actually think the advantage goes to the Niners, because if everybody thinks that you're going to win because all these injuries, that usually means that some weird thing is going to happen.
Right.
And
Brock
the team
Purdy
that's
will
supposed
emerge.
to win.
And Brock Purdy or Tom Brady will show up.
Yeah, Tom Brady will come and show out of nowhere and like fit it. So I ain't buying. I'm not going for the banana and tailpipe. My response to Sandy usually is when the Rams are playing is no comment. I don't comment on that stuff.
Well, for me, I just typically turn into a pessimist with the Yankees automatically. I sit there and lament. How is it a team with all this talent can do so poorly like this?
I'll tell you who do.
Well, the thing, we ended up winning 94 games again. We had our 36 straight winning season. No, it was 92. So our 33rd straight winning season, the second longest streak in history, only longer than another Yankee group of teams. And it's not like we had that horrible stretch in the middle, which drove everybody, including me, crazy. We all wanted to fire Boone, and I never want to fire Boone. I do too, actually. I like him a lot, but but there are times where there's time to move on. I'm not there. So I was there for a few weeks, though. And it's not like we performed, but then we, like last year with the World Series, we get to the series, and then that fifth inning of a game we should have won, we just completely 1,000% meltdown. Or on the first game of the Red Sox, we're losing. What was it 3-2, I think, or 4-3, and it's the ninth inning. We load the bases with no out, and we can't score a single run in the bottom of the ninth.
We need to address this before we leave. So, Christy, no, that's not the case. We're gonna be doing the same. Some things the absolute same. So, we're gonna have a live streaming of the shows. That's not changing. We just don't know necessarily what the shows are gonna be, but of course, you guys will, if you want, will have an opportunity to do that. So, absolutely, there will be shows being streamed.
Yes.
But beyond that,
there won't be any snow.
Well, we hope so.
Most likely. Well, Atlanta, the odds are pretty good. We're right. All right. Well, that sounds good.
All right. So you got what you're going to be watching. Yeah, I got what I'm going to be watching.
So basically, given what you're going to be watching, what I'm going to be watching, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Or very late. Well, yes, it really depends on what.
Exactly. If we both win, I'll talk to you later tonight. If one of us wins, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll just move on and just say, on behalf of us and Henry III,
Henry III,
William the Conqueror, Edward
Elizabeth
the Confessor,
Eleanor of Aquitaine,
yeah, Queen Matilda,
Bloody Mary,
all those folks, and of course,
Queen Minnie.
Yeah, Queen Minnie. There we go.
Queen Minnie, the ever loving.
Actually, next week probably not, because I'll be out in Vegas for Sweet World.
That's right.
I think I'm flying back on Thursday. Yeah. Yep. So it might be. I guess we'll do our watch party in.
Yes. Yeah.
So that will be the week after, as we will be recording some shows.
Many shows, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me do that before we get out of here. I think I have a.
And Christy, I understood snow, not show, but no, there won't be snow.
I hope not.
Yeah, odds are pretty good. Yes.
And we will be doing at least one watch party in a series.
Minimum of one.
In a series of conversations.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to be like broadcast or not. So we don't know anything about that yet. But we'll be at Oracle AI World. First time it's being called AI World, I think.
Yep. It turns out Cloud World was very short-lived.
Yeah, it really was. Wow.
Like 4 years, maybe 3-4 years.
And maybe one of the folks that we'll get a chance to talk to, maybe, hopefully, Steve Miranda, maybe.
Well, I do know this. Rob Pinkerton told me he passed on our clip to Steve Miranda.
Gotta love Rob Pinkerton.
He absolutely loved the clip too.
Oh, good. Okay, good. Well, we'll see if it does us any good. I don't know if it will or not, but we shall see. We shall find out.
We're working on you, Steve. We want you on.
Yeah, come on, man. We're not even. Just let us know if there's just a little sliver of time.
Come on, man. 20 minutes. 20 minutes. You've given us 20 minutes within groups, so just eliminate the rest of the groups.
And kick them out.
Right, then let us record it. That's it. Right, that's all we want.
Anyway, I'm Brent Leary.
I'm Paul Greenberg.
We are the CRM Playaz, and we will see you sometime soon.
Sometime soon.